This is Steffen Schmidt. Wanted to give you a little reflection on the consequences of climate and weather, especially for the whole discussion of coastal tourism, which is only one aspect, but certainly is a hugely important aspect of coastal zone management and coastal policy. I'm in New Hampshire right now. You can see the water and some shore back there behind me, but specifically today's Boston Globe, which I have right here, has a front page article that says, "One more winter blow, disappearing beaches." And the subtitle is "Storms Give Much of the Cape a Startling New Look," and the Cape, of course, being in New England, happens to be Cape Cod. There's a picture of Marconi Beach in Wellfleet here on the front page, and all of the boardwalk that goes down from the top of the dunes across and then down to the beach has been basically washed away by storms, and there is now, frankly, a lot of chaos. Many of the dunes have been badly eroded. Instead of the dunes sloping off, they drop off sharply, where the storm surge came in and basically storm after storm chewed away the beach. Some of the sand has been dragged out, and so there is a small beach area, and then there is sort of water, and then there's a second beach that's actually somewhat offshore. And the beach and recreation director of Dennis, which is on Cape Cod, says, "I can't see it getting much worse than this." That, of course, is a tremendous reflection on the power of storms in this past year. Not just Sandy, but a lot of other storms that have pounded New England and pounded the Northeast, whether that is as a result of climate change, whether it's the result of global warming and sea level rise and so on, is yet to be determined. But a teacher at Nauset Beach actually said it's the worst storm I've seen in my lifetime. I think it was a teacher who said that. So what is the impact of all this? Well, obviously there's a lot of impact on all kinds of wildlife and coastal, the coastal ecology. But in fact, the impact in this particular case is very heavily on the lifeblood of communities on Cape Cod and other beach areas, which attract a great number of people in the summer, which have beautiful beaches and towns, rental properties, bed and breakfasts, hotels, small motels, the whole New England tradition of lobster and clam shacks and ice cream places, which are wonderful and are found everywhere here. Those, of course, all are badly hurt, and as a result, it impacts tremendously on jobs, on taxes, in all of those local communities. There is, in fact, an effort now underway. Over the summer, there is an expectation that instead of doing a lot of artificial beach renourishment, which is done in many other places, there is a hope, at least the coastal zone manager of Massachusetts, Bruce Carlisle, says that he hopes that sand will be redeposited on the beaches over the summer as the natural flow of currents, tides, and wind essentially bring back some of the sand and rebuild some of those. Cape Cod is basically a sandy barrier island that sticks off the coast of Massachusetts. You're probably familiar with it. It has a hook shaped and it goes out into the Atlantic and then hooks back, in towards Plymouth. And there is a comment here that no human concocted repairs will be enough to keep the inevitable at bay forever. The pace of erosion, fluctuating but inexorable, means that this slender peninsula of sand, gravel, clay, and rock will eventually disappear. So what you're talking about, of course, is that places that we view as permanent locations for ecology and for human enjoyment and habitation and work, in some cases when you're dealing with the shore, as you well know, are pretty ephemeral or pretty temporary. In 1896, William Morris Davis, a Harvard geology professor, wrote, quote, "The sands of Province Land, which is Cape Cod, will be swept away as the oceanic curtain falls on this little one-act geographical drama." That's a pretty daunting and serious comment. I also saw a story this morning on a local television station that along one of the beaches on a barrier island, it happens not to be Cape Cod, it's called Plum Island, which truly has to be reached by a very narrow little causeway that is underwater in many cases when the tide is up high and after it's rained, and that is basically backed by a huge marsh and then sits on the Atlantic. Plum Island has had some really serious problems because it's very fragile, it's very narrow, it's very exposed, and this past winter it even made national news. Some of the storms came in and chewed away so much of the shore that houses actually collapsed. Now, I saw this morning that the state of Massachusetts has actually given people permission to rebuild those houses, which many think is a serious mistake, given the fact that inevitably the ocean is chewing away and there is no armoring of the beaches on Plum Island. And so the only way to keep the beaches alive is to periodically, I guess, try to re-nourish them. But those houses are very vulnerable, and some people think that building permits should not be issued in places where essentially weather-related damage and disaster is going to just simply recur time and time again. So facing a difficult situation in terms of our desire to live on the beach and live on the shore. This article and what is happening in the New England area where I am, as I said, if you look out the window behind me, is a place that has been pretty hard hit by this. Thank you, and I hope you're enjoying coastal zone management and coastal policy. Thanks.